What's going on, guys? It's Rob from Heroes Avenue. Happy Monday. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far, and hope you guys all had a great weekend, especially with this shelter in place going on. I know it can feel like a blur. Everything feels like one long day, but I hope you guys are staying entertained and productive out there. In this video, we're going to be talking about Zack Snyder. Not really the Snyder Cut in particular, though we will get into that, but we're going to be talking about Zack Snyder because he just recently did a live stream of the BvS Ultimate Edition cut on his Vero account, and this is to celebrate kind of the 4-year anniversary of BvS. Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's already been 4 years since that movie came out, and it's kind of a weird anniversary to really celebrate that with with such a thing that he did right here with this live stream. But we'll get into maybe why he was doing that later on. But what I really wanted to highlight is some of the bigger things that we learned from this live stream event. Now, to be honest, I have not yet seen it, though I have seen a lot of coverage on it. What I plan to do is I plan to get in a workout and have this playing in the background, his commentary in the background of my workout. But I did do a lot of digging into some of the big things that were revealed, and we're going to go ahead and talk about some of them. And I think the biggest takeaway I've seen from what other people have said about this, and from what I'm seeing from these little excerpts that I'm going to talk about in just a second, is that Zack Snyder, while we always knew there was layers to his DC grand plan, right? And these are the layers that I think a lot of people who were hating on his vision failed to really realize, like how nuanced his vision was for this DC universe, and the fact that he had his reasons for why he did certain things. He's often talked about as a director that's just all visual, pure visual, and lacking in substance. But I think if you listen to him talk about his movies and realize the passion that he has for it, that indeed there is substance there. Whether you like it or not, that's up to you. And I gotta tell you, as a fan of the DC universe that was originally created by him, I am a huge fan of Zack Snyder, and not just the DC stuff, all of Zack Snyder's work for the most part. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these things that we've learned from here. Now, we're gonna be talking about topics like Jimmy Olsen, the Aquaman cameo, Martian, Manhunter, the Flash, original Wonder Woman plans, and how he left this live stream, which is really interesting. And then we'll talk about what's probably going to come about in the future. So first off, one of the things we learned is that Jimmy Olsen in the BvS movie, is indeed Jimmy Olsen. A lot of people thought that because of the manner in which he died in the movie, they thought the CIA operative, Jimmy Olsen, was not really the Jimmy Olsen that we all come to appreciate through the comics. And what he had to say is this: it's cool that he's in the CIA. He speaks 4 languages. Jimmy has never really been involved. People always ask me if he's dead. Do we see him again? I don't think so. So I guess he clarified that Jimmy Olsen was specifically murdered in here. That's essentially what he's saying. And to be honest, in the Superman comics that I've read, and I know he's a mainstay character in the action line of comics, Superman comics. But he's never been the most beloved person for myself, and I can probably speak for a lot of other people as well, though I don't want to speak for everyone, because I know especially there's actually a Jimmy Olsen comic that's out right now that people are really, really enjoying. So while he's not the most fan favorite character in the DC universe, I do understand that a lot of people were upset with how Jimmy Olsen was treated. But again, you got to take this director, Zack Snyder, for the vision that he was creating. He didn't come out to make an exact version of what we'd seen in the comics, because otherwise, why don't you just read the comics, right? So that's kind of the mindset that I go into this with. So he clarified that Jimmy Olsen is indeed dead. Moving on, the Aquaman cameo. He kind of explained the Aquaman cameo. So if you guys remember in BvS, Aquaman had a cameo in which there were some deep sea divers that were kind of looking through a wreckage, and you see Aquaman coming out with his Quindent and subsequently blasting off into the deep blue sea, right? And that was pretty cool. I actually loved the cameos from all of the Justice League members in the movie. I know a lot of people hated on the fact that they were all done through video. For me, I can't really understand it. I actually thought that was a cool way to do it. So in terms of this Aquaman cameo, here's what he had to say. The concept here was that he had his, to me, that he had probably trained with his mother's trident a couple of times with Volko, but he hasn't keeping it himself. He wasn't keeping it himself, so Volko kept the trident with him, and as needed, if they were training, or he would get it from him, but he'd always give it back, but he never took it up as a real mantle. So that's something that is a through line that we saw in the Aquaman movie as well, and I thought it really set up Aquaman really perfectly. And we do know that James Wan and him had some communication there, and it seems like their visions were in line when it was all said and done. So I thought that was cool. Moving on, let's talk about Martian Manhunter. Now, this is a reveal that we've heard, or that we heard about months ago now, I think. I definitely covered it when it came out, the storyboard that Zack Snyder released on his Vero account showing General Swanwick to be Martian Manhunter. Here's what he had to say about that. Henry Lennox is pretending to be human, being a human being, but does a great job, but has this relationship with Lois that started in Man of Steel. If you kind of track their relationship, Harry understands there's a relationship between Lois and Clark, who he knows, of course, is Superman. So basically, Martian Manhunter, or Harry Lennox, is pretending or notices the relationship, and because of that relationship, he's able to deduce that Superman is also in disguise. So that was really cool. He goes on to praise Harry Lennox's performance, and it would have been so cool to see Zack Snyder complete that vision and for us to see that reveal in the movie. Now, will we see this still? Possibly, of course. We have Zack Snyder's Justice League to look forward to. And hopefully those are one of the things he's looking to complete in his final vision. But yeah, so he went on to talk about that. He goes in length to talk about the Flash's multiple timelines. So here's the direct quote. I'll just go ahead and read it to you. So, I had this idea in the future where the Justice League, are talking about sending Flash back to warn Bruce Wayne, that Cyborg would be doing the calculations to send him back and would say, I have two possibilities of where to send a Flash back in time. The numbers point to 2 moments to warn you, Bruce. Like, if it's right near the moment when this event might happen, where Lois might get killed or Bruce isn't able to stop it. However, that's happening. It would be important if Flash came closer to that moment so that Bruce could understand the reality of it. And so, in the future, Bruce says to Cyborg, well, what times would you send me back to? What time right now would you send me back? And Cyborg says, I'm leaning towards this. And Bruce Wayne says, do the other one, because you already sent him back here, and it was too early, so send me to the other one. So that's how he was able to get him, the Flash, back again. Because in the new timeline, he goes to a different point in time that's closer to the event that we haven't seen yet in this film. So that is kind of a mind-boggling situation there, right? And I do believe we heard something about this a while back when Justice League originally came out. There were people talking about this, and it's cool to see Zack Snyder really going in depth about the timelines that would have been created. And of course, if you remember the cameo from Ezra Miller's Flash in the Batcave, that was such a mysterious event to watch play out in cinema, and it was mind-boggling to me. A lot of people were confused, obviously, but for DC fans to see that, I thought that was such an incredible way to build this DC universe, because obviously this movie didn't answer all the questions. It laid the groundwork for a bigger storyline, and there was going to be that through line there in Justice League. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. But it was cool to see that he was planning that much down the line for this Justice League movie. And I've talked about this in length, but Zack Snyder recently posted another image, I think it was on Valentine's Day or somewhere near then. He posted another image of Ezra Miller's Flash, and there were 2 Flashes in the image. So it was just, he was saving scientists, and it was like he was moving so fast that he was saving multiple scientists. Or could it be a multiple timeline? Who knows? But it's just crazy that we were going to get this, and unfortunately we didn't. But who knows what we might get in the future, as I'll say again. One of the coolest things to come out of this was the original Wonder Woman plans, or at least the details of what he talked about. So it looks like they were kind of talking about different ways to introduce Wonder Woman, and here's what he had to say about that. Before we shot scene for the movie, we shot a placeholder. We had shot it previously from the Crimean War because it was the first conflict where photography was used. We talked about using the Civil War. So ultimately, we got was it World War I, where Wonder Woman took place, and ultimately worked out really well. But it's cool to see his thought process in terms of when he was going to set that timeline and how that it would have changed things completely. But how cool would it have been to see to see it Wonder Woman in a different timeline, and the fact that he was thinking that, hey, this was the first time that cinema was used. How cool would that have been to be the place where Wonder Woman was first discovered? So it's just cool, you know. So Zack Snyder, again, I'm gonna say this word again, nuance. There was the way he was thinking about this was in very complex and intricate ways, and I think seeing Zack Snyder explain these things is just so cool. And this is why, you know, people love watching these director commentaries. And I can't wait to really watch this and watch this all the way through and see exactly what he said about the whole situation. He goes on to make fun of Batman haters or Batman killing. So basically, every time there was a shot of Batman killing a foe, or potentially killing a foe, he would go on to make fun of them. Here's what he had to say. This is an example of the Batmobile's arraignments and its weapons. I'm sure these guys are fine. They're going to be 100% okay. They're not going to be dead. Those guys in the car there, they're 100% fine. We should have done it like an A-team shot of them by the road getting up like, oh, that hurt. But they're fine, just for the PG-13 of it all. So obviously he's being sarcastic here, saying that they're fine. They're not fine. Batman demolishes a lot of the enemies in there. But again, you know, he's just making fun of, just for the PG-13 of it all, let's just make sure they're okay. So all you guys who can't wrap your head around the fact that Batman may have to kill 1 or 2 people, especially in the context of this Batman, you know, him being a grizzled, old, jaded Batman, if you guys can't get that, then man, I don't know what to say to you guys. But it's cool to see Zack Snyder talk about that. So, and then lastly, how he ends this live stream, throwing shade at Justice League, essentially. I will show you the clip here, but here's what it had to say. You know what? They should make a sequel to this movie someday. That would be amazing. That would really be something else. Yeah, I want to know what happens to these guys. I mean, don't they eventually, I don't know, form some blank and it cuts, and that's the end of the live stream. And yeah, that's what we get from this. That's all we got from the live stream. It's like over 3 hours, and that's how we ended it. A real big tease, and I'll play the clip right here.
So I guess I'll sign off. You know what? I think they should make a sequel to this movie someday. That would be amazing. That would really be something else. Yeah, I want to know what happens to these guys. I mean, don't they eventually, I don't know, form some...
So yeah, obviously, my predictions for the future is we are going to get Zack Snyder's Justice League, without a doubt in my mind. Now again, I can't say it with full confidence because, you know, I'm not in the know, but just given everything we've been getting, all of Zack Snyder's efforts to make this stay relevant, and the fans' enthusiasm, it only makes sense for WB to finally allow this cut to be released. Now, is there a cut out there and completed? Yes, there is. And it's funny, if you guys watch Film Gob, shout out to Film Gob, if you guys watch this compilation of all the haters, all the mainstream, not mainstream, I guess the big YouTubers who are completely hating on the Snyder Cut, it's funny to see their attitudes change throughout the years, and it's gonna be so funny to see them all completely wrong when this is all said and done. And I do think this is gonna release someday, and there is a finished cut, but I do think this cut is actually being worked on, just from everything that he's been leading up to in his recent updates. I think he's working on this, and I think we're gonna get an even more complete and polished and updated version of what he wanted to put out. So that's what I'm thinking. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Did you guys watch the live stream of BvS with Zack Snyder? If so, drop down any tidbits that maybe I missed, or your favorite parts of the live stream down in the comments. And let me know what you guys thought. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like, please subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell for more videos like this, and again, stay safe out there guys. Peace.